If HTML was just opening and closing tags around some text, we'd be done right now. There's a little more to it than that, though. We're allowed to wrap HTML elements around other elements. Additionally, some HTML elements won't have any content or text inside of them at all. First, let's look at the HTML elements that wrap around other elements. We call the inner elements nested elements. There's generally two reasons we nest elements inside of each other. The first reason is for structural purposes. We group elements together inside other elements because they contain related information. This is similar to the English language concept of paragraphs, where we will group related sentences together into one block of text. The second reason is for stylistic purposes. We'll see once we get to the CSS lessons later on in this unit that the nested elements can inherit styles. That means if, as we see in this example, we color the outer element red, then that color can apply to the nested elements too. This makes it easy for us to apply styles to large groups of elements at once, and will save us a lot of work later on. A quick note about correct nesting of HTML elements. Make sure the next tag after an opening tag is its own closing tag. If you mix the closing tags around and they match up incorrectly, you're going to get unexpected behavior. The browser will try its best to understand your HTML, but you'll likely get weird and unwanted styles. Let's try both examples in Replit and see what happens. Remember, you only learn by practicing, so please type this out yourself. In our example webpage, let's find our P element that has the text, "My cat is very grumpy" inside of it. In front of the word very, please add a strong tag. And then move the word very inside of it. If we hit the run button now, we can see the default style of the strong tag applied to our text. The strong tag is going to make the word very bold by default. If, however, we mix up the tags and we nest them incorrectly, we'll see incorrect behavior. Switch the strong closing tag out for the P closing tag. And then switch the P closing tag out for the strong closing tag. Now we see unexpected behavior because we've incorrectly nested our tags. So now we know that elements can be nested inside of each other. However, some elements can't have anything nested inside them at all. We call these elements void elements. They aren't allowed to have a closing tag, and no slash symbol is needed. In this example, you can see an HR element, which is used to create a horizontal line or rule across the page. Sometimes you may hear void elements called self-closing elements or self-closing tags. Even though you might see that term online, the real name for them, according to the formal HTML specification, is void element. If you see someone put a slash at the end of their void element, like the HR example at the bottom of this slide, that's fine. It doesn't hurt anything, but it's not technically correct, and the browser just ignores the slash at the end. And before you ask, yes, void elements can be nested inside regular elements. Just remember that nothing can be nested inside of a void element. Let's test out a void element in Replit. Please go to the end of your H1 element, hit enter, add a new line, and then add an HR element. That's a left arrow, an H, an R, and then a right arrow. Hit the run button, and we should see a line appear across the page. That's the default styling of an HR element. Occasionally, we'll have regular HTML elements with no text content or other elements inside of them. These are not void elements. They're still required to have a closing tag, unlike the void elements. We typically use them for stylistic purposes or embedding other media, like video or audio files, into our documents. In the first example on this slide, we have an empty div element, which I've styled to be a red square. In this case, maybe we wanted to make an example of a square for a math web page or something like that, so it didn't need any text content inside of it. We'll learn all about how to do that kind of styling in the later CSS lessons of this unit. In the second example on this slide, we have an audio element. Notice how it has both an opening and a closing tag, so it's definitely not a void element. The opening tag of the audio element has text inside of it though, which is used to customize the sound that plays when you click the button. We call these extra pieces of text in the opening tag attributes, and we'll learn about them in the next few lessons.